It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It's that time of a Monday morning when we talk all things relationships. Now, when you've been with your partner for a substantial amount of time, you may feel that you know them intimately, like the back of your hand. But there are times when it is valuable to just take a step back and ask yourself if you still really know the person and assess whether there is still, or if there is some kind of strangeness about this person, and whether your heart still feels that glow of warmth, of intimate knowledge that you thought that you might have about each other.
So today we are asking the question, how well do you know your partner? What are the benefits of continuing to learn about your partner as you go through life? Well, we have the one and only Dr. Eve. She's in the building to help us discuss this hot topic. And we'd also love to hear your questions and comments as well. So why don't you head on over to our Expresso Facebook page, drop us a comment on this post, and we will engage with you live. So thank you, Dr. Eve. Good morning.
I'm excited for this topic.
Yeah.
It's so important.
All right.
Because we sit into complacency. We kind of do a lot of time in our courtship in being curious about each other, finding out some stuff. We'll talk about what stuff, and then we just let it go.
Could we maybe even ask the question about why this happens? I'm assuming in practice you've seen it quite a lot where couples drift from each other because of this complacency. Why does it happen?
It's just because we lull ourselves into believing that we know who this person is, and we get caught up in the domesticity of every single day. And we have conversations that are quite trivial and are quite practical, especially when children arrive, around the practicalities and domesticity of life, that we then do not give attention to really getting to know each other again. And following each other's paths, because we continue to live individual lives, even though we live in a couple life as well.
Interesting. Now, Dr. Eve, I've heard of a love map.
My favorite, so.
What is a love map?
Bring it on. So this is something which I unfortunately did not design, but John Gottman did. He's a really famous psychologist, and he says this is the essence, this is the building blocks of any new relationship. So think about a house, and think about the house is upheld by two principles, trust and commitment in your relationship. And let's start at the foundation of it. And the foundation is your love map, and that is the getting to know each other. If this doesn't happen at the beginning of a relationship, you really struggle to build onto that house to the highest level, which is building dreams together, and we'll get to that place. So the love map is foundation. So whether you're online, and obviously a lot of people do this online now, and whether you're meeting for the first time offline, it is so essential to be really curious about the other person and to find out as much as you can about who they are. And we do this out of an instinctive, strategic way of seeing, is this person going to be matching with me from a religious, from a cultural, from a value point of view, from principle. Oh, I've just been in America, right? I mean, American politics and even South African politics, they can divide families and they divide relationships. So it's very important to get an idea of who this person is. And if you miss that out, you don't have a good foundation for the rest of the house building of your relationship. And you got to keep coming back to that. Every few months, you want to be checking in. So when people go on these date nights, which I really don't like, but when people go on date nights, they talk about domestic practical issues, and they don't check in and do a love map, which is a lovely little quiz. And I'll give viewers some idea of what that is.
So you don't like date nights?
No, I don't like date nights. Sorry.
Isn't that the whole? Well, I thought date nights would be to rework the love map. Right. Was that not the case?
That's what one would imagine.
Yeah.
But date nights, I mean, usually people are like feeling, okay, Thursday night is our date night. And there's always expectation of sex that's going to...
You can say sex, Dr. Eve. Say it loud and proud. SES sex.
There's the expectation of that, and then, you know, she gets home and she says, oh, I'm too bloated, I ate too much, and he says, I had too much to drink. And there's a disappointment factor that goes on. But date nights are not used for what I would really like them to be, which is to do some love mapping, rather than discussing practical issues.
So let's get to the practicality of designing or creating this love map? What do you
Yeah.
ask? Do you sit there across a table from each other with
Yeah.
a glass of wine and a notebook and you're like, okay, here we go.
Massage my
map
feet while you're at it.
I like it more when it's organic, Kat. So it's having shared experiences. As it can feel quite formalized. And also people can feel quite under pressure. And I'm just noticing my body moving backwards as I even think about it.
Yeah?
That this is an interrogation. This doesn't feel like it's somebody who's just curious about me. And you have to be able to weigh up the risks of telling too much too soon.
Okay.
Very important that you want to feel, because I work so somatically, you know, what is my body feeling? And I really encourage our viewers to do the same. To feel, actually, I feel this person's asking too much too soon, wants too much detailed information, like, so how many lovers have you had, or how many boyfriends have you had? And they may be judging you around that. Or, so what, you're a girl and you've kissed a girl, what does that say about you? Those things can hurt you. And especially today when we have online access, people can wreck your reputation.
So what do you do in an
By doing that.
instance where your partner asks you a question where you're not
Yeah.
comfortable yet to reveal that answer, but you don't want to lie? What would the best response be?
You've just given it, Zoe. I'm not comfortable yet to give that answer.
Okay.
Or thank you for your interest. I really appreciate
I'll let
your
you know in a
interest.
few months' time.
Exactly. I'll let
Sounds
you
like
know.
some software bot replying.
I love bots, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a bot on my website. So anyone who wants to talk to me directly, get onto my bot and she will be there.
Oh, my word.
Truthful, yeah.
Thank you very much for your interest in my life, but I shan't be answering this at this point in time.
feel comfortable
To be
right now.
continued. Dr. Eve is going to remain with us as we continue this journey of discovering more about these love maps and how to better understand your partner, especially as you go through life, and to ensure that you maintain that curiosity, that intimate knowledge about them, which hopefully should feed into a healthy relationship.
It's my feel good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It's Monday, so we're talking relationships, and today our relationship expert, Dr. Eve, is in the hot seat to help discuss the importance of knowing your partner well and being honest about your relationship experience. Now, we'd love to hear from you, so feed through those comments onto our Facebook page, drop us a comment there, and we'll take it on board as soon as we possibly can. So, Dr. Eve, let's talk about the distractions that could come along your life's path that could be or end up in you having less intimate knowledge about of your partner.
Yeah. We take for granted, I always think about it as a pot plant. You kind of get the pot plant,
Yeah.
which is your partner, and you plant it in the corner, you put it there and think, okay, I know this person, I got this person, and now we can just carry on with the rest of our lives. And that is obviously a deal breaker. That's just going to lead to neglect and a sense of loneliness and a breakdown of intimacy completely. So you want to have that pot plant right in the middle of the room. And I really want our viewers to get a pot plant, put it in the middle of the room. Let that be symbolic of needing to check in, needing to make sure that every single day there is a check-in with each other. And
Isn't that from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days? She has like a love fern that she gives him. And then yeah, so okay, that
don't
might
let
be
it
a
die.
way. That might
can
be a
be
way
like, yeah,
of keeping it top of
exactly.
mind.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know, but
Orchid, they require little wood and attention.
exactly. But you know, it kind of can be done so simplistically every day.
Yeah.
You're on your iPad, you're on your phone, and you're both reading something different. And it's so important to be able to turn to the person and say, look at this article I'm reading. And the person will say, oh, I didn't know that you were interested in whatever, gardening, in ferns. Is this something new that you've developed? Yeah. I mean, like, for example, I've just been traveling for a long time, and I realized I have this incredible interest in design. So suddenly this is a new interest of mine. I was taking photographs not of scenery, but of doors and of walls and mosaics and really interesting artwork. So this is important that my partner looks at it, or I share with him or her and say, this is what I'm interested in right now. And if you're not doing that, there isn't any growth that happens. There is just the absolute insularity of a relationship where two people are side by side on their devices and they're not sharing with each other. Devices are a big distraction.
Yeah.
We know that, right? And the way to overcome that is by sharing whatever it is you're reading. It's amazing how our inner lives are expressed online and how people are not sharing that with each other.
Sure.
I mean, you would learn so much about the person that you were with if you knew what they were browsing and what they were reading.
I've been doing that even with my friendships. So instead of
Right.
asking the person, oh, I see you did this and this weekend because they posted online, I'd rather ask them, how was your weekend? And have them tell me that themselves. But Dr. Eve, what are some of the practical techniques that couples can use to, build this love map in their relationship throughout?
Right. It's by
Yeah.
sharing what they're reading online with each other, by actually having experiences, Zoe. So it's not just going for the date night dinner. It should be like, I want to take you for a walk in my favorite park. It's like, oh, I didn't know that you liked walking.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm interested in sailing, so let's go to the yacht club and have a drink there because that's something. Oh, when did you develop an interest in sailing? Tell me more about that. Oh, well, my grandfather used to sail, or, we had a boat back in our family. So the stories unfold and you know each other a little more and there's a sense of closeness. Then people do want to go home and have sex, actually.
After that. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, so you talked about this clinical psychologist,
Yes,
John
John
Gottman,
Gottman.
who is the creator of
Yes.
this love map.
Yes.
So what are some of the key questions that are asked in developing this love map that, and what can they indicate in terms of your level of intimate knowledge of your partner?
So things that you do want to ask are not only like, what's your favorite color right now?
Yeah.
Or I noticed that you're wearing a lot of gold. Does that mean that gold is your color? I never thought that you liked gold as a color.
Okay.
It could be, what are the things that you're most afraid of right now? Tell me, who's the person that you feel closest to? Or is Leanne still your best friend? Or is there somebody else who's your best friend? Because I noticed that you haven't been hanging out with her a whole lot. Asking questions, noticing, picking up things like, I noticed that you haven't been speaking to your family for a while. Is there something going on there that I need to know about? So it's picking up on the person and talking about things that are difficult.
If your partner's watching a lot of crime and investigation dramas, just saying.
Yeah, maybe there's a career there, or else planning a murder or something.
How to Get Away with Murder is a great
Yes,
show.
exactly.
Yeah,
Right?
we're going to take a quick pause with Dr. Eve. When we get back, we want to find out more about John Gottman's sound house, or the sound relationship house. So
Yeah.
Dr. Eve will be unpacking that. And of course, we're asking you this morning, how well do you know your partner? What are the benefits of continuing to learn about your partner as you go through life? And we would love to hear your questions, your comments. Why don't you head on over to the Expresso Facebook page, drop us a comment over there and on the post, and we will engage with you online.
It's my feel good breakfast show.
And four.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show on a Monday morning. Oh man, so many interesting conversations about this topic. We're talking about knowing your partner intimately and the benefits of continuing to learn about your partner's journey through life.
And Dr. Eve, earlier we were talking about John Gottman's relationship sound, the sound relationship house.
Right.
And you spoke about the foundation being the love map. And earlier when we started off, you said if you're not comfortable answering certain questions too early, too soon in your relationship, it's best to take a pause on it. Why is it so important to wait until you feel physically and emotionally safe with your partner to reveal those love map details?
Because we all have a little bit of crazy in us, Zoe. We all have a little bit of crazy. Some of us have more crazy than others. And we do have to feel out the safety. And unfortunately in our country, because of our high level of violence that exists, women have to be a little more cautious. And please, I'm not knocking men and I'm not being sexist over here, but I look at the statistics around it. And women talk and expose. Men are more reticent. I wish they were not, but it happens that way. And if you reveal too much too soon, you may be putting yourself at risk for either being exploited. And I'm even thinking in terms of sending images of oneself, sexual images. If somebody asks you to send images of yourself naked or doing sexual acts, you really want to hold back on that because you have no idea where that's going to end up. So online has brought another element of being a little more cautious about how much self-disclosure that you do. And even when you meet somebody in real life, you want to be able to feel, is this person somebody I feel safe with?
Yeah.
How much do I feel comfortable to be disclosing before it moves on to another level? And so give yourself some time before you do a whole lot of self-disclosure. And I'm going to come back to the fact that if somebody is doing too much questioning too soon, let that be a red flag for you.
Okay.
Feel if it feels like an interrogation rather than a curiosity. You want to feel the difference between the two.
Yeah. So how do you juxtapose that then with the notion of radical honesty when you're trying to build this love map?
Right.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, there is this concept of radical honesty which says you have to disclose everything about yourself to the person that you're with. Now, let's just say that you're in a relationship now, and there's been a lot of love map that's happened, and you know each other, and there's some things that you may feel ashamed of. And all of us, I think, Kat, have got some, I don't know if it's secrets, but society has taught us to have shame around certain things, certainly around our sexuality, certainly around our relationships, or even around things like finances, money, family, stories that have happened in family, abuse. And we have shame around that. Do we tell? Is that something necessary for this concept of radical honesty? And each person has to decide for themselves how much honesty they want to be sharing with even their intimate partner. And it comes up at different times. I know when I work with couples, they may find that only after years of marriage that they will disclose, actually, I was raped or I was molested as a child. There isn't a set time that you have to disclose everything to this person just because you're now married or in a committed relationship with them. You want to allow time to unfold, and you want to allow the person to unfold in their own time when they disclose. So honesty is great, but I think each of us have to be responsible for saying how much we disclose and when we disclose, and really what benefit is it going to be to the relationship, to either withhold or to share. And you have to judge that in the moment and with the person that you're with.
Oh, I've been loving the advice we've been getting from you, Dr. Eve. And just as parting advice to the couples, those who are in relationships, still to go into relationships, what parting advice would you love to leave them with, especially when it comes to your love map and your sound relationship house?
Yeah. You want to enter into committed relationships when you feel that there are the necessary, what I call the structures, the 4 structures that are there in your relationship. So you want to have passion. Don't be ashamed. If you don't have any passion, sexual attraction, you shouldn't be there in the first place. You want to have trust, commitment, and respect. And if those 4 things are not there, it's going to be a bit of a wobbly house for you, Zoe. So you want to have that. It's passion, respect, trust, and commitment. And in that, you'll be able to really feel like I can know my partner and I can disclose as much about myself as I feel safe to do with this person.
Wow. Phew. Certainly one of the more in-depth conversations we've shared with Dr. Eve regarding relationships, and we hope that it's been very, very insightful to you. Perhaps it's given you a fresh way of looking at your relationship and helped you to build a more healthy relationship going forward. We'll be doing this again, of course, next week. And until then, thanks, babe.